What up? What's up? I'm getting links for chat. That's what's up. Ooh, that's already up. YouTube is going. Where you at, dude?
Yeah, it's food. What are you talking about?
What's that? Ooh, I got a cold. We're starting a little later than I wanted, but it'll be all right. I got tissues.
Technical issues.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah, what's
I saw you drop,
are
dude.
you?
Oh yeah. Just dogs barking, moving over from outdoors to indoors. The usual.
Oh, I got you,
Oh well.
fam. I got you, fam. Hey, what up, chat? What is up? All right, audio looks good on my end. Starting to roll in. I'm a second or two late, which is disappointing, but whatever. I don't give a shit that much. Anti-media, baby. We don't start nothing on time. Nothing is professional. This is for the love of the game.
Mhm.
All right, who we got? Who we got on? Let's sound off like we got a pair.
Fucking Juniper Nest is here
Yeah.
Uh-huh. The only one with a pair. Fucking Juniper Nest rolling in
with a pickle. What?
with a pair.
Yeah.
Oh,
We were told to sound off like we have a pair.
Fuck yeah. Sound off like you got him.
Actively without them. Jen Engels, self-made
Nice.
capitalist, back for another round.
Nice. Got him cut off, I see.
Yeah.
Get halfway to
Listen,
that bottom surgery.
it was a free procedure. How could I pass it up, man?
all I had to do was swear my fealty to Kamala Harris, and they cut my balls off.
Yeah.
It was pretty great.
actually,
A little bit weird, but
I don't know. From what I've been told about like some of that hormonal shit, like I don't know. Some people are happier when they lose it, or at least that's what they say.
Lose the balls.
Or like the whole testosterone thing.
Fair enough. I don't know. I still have it, but it's potentially it could go. I'm either way on it. I thought about getting
not
bottom
deeply
surgery.
attached to it.
I thought about getting bottom surgery to own the conservatives.
And that's a choice, but
Yeah.
it seems a little extreme. Just
Well, all
to do for
politics is
shits and
trolling your
giggles.
enemy. All politics is trolling the enemy. So I thought, why not piss him off? I can be like, what's it? The Buck, what was it? Buck Angel, I think. Buck Wild, Buck Angel, something like that. The boy with the pussy boy, from back in like 2000.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
Oh, see, now this is where my depravity shows, because that was I think it's Buck. Somebody correct me in chat if you know, and then tell on yourself. Let's see, Buck
And
Angel.
tell on yourself.
And telling yourself, yeah, Buck Angel was a is or was a trans male porn star. So for a while there, Buck didn't have bottom surgery. So he was the boy with the pussy. Is how he billed himself.
Oh,
And then and now everybody hates him.
And like I read, yeah, I remember reading something, and I guess he's against the whole like trans women are women, trans men are men, because he's like, well, no, I don't think we qualify. Like, so he
Yeah,
kind of did the heel turn.
almost certainly did. Almost certainly because he's old. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, he's just old, so
And
like he doesn't
you
fit
gotta
anymore.
keep hoarding the wealth you got.
Yeah. He's making media appearances on conservative media, where the wealth's at. So that you're always going to see the pivot towards conservatism unless you do something like us.
And eschew all forms of monetary compensation.
Yeah, right. Well, we paid one black guy one time.
That is true.
That is true. We are.
That is strictly true.
When they talk about how we're not woke, the only person who's getting paid on this podcast is a black guy, and she's just barely.
That is. It would have been more if there was more to go around.
Yeah. It would have been more for him if there had been more to go around, and we might have even gotten a cut. But at that point, like, there's probably we're paying reparations. We're the only show in America actually paying fucking reparations. So when people come at us for not being woke, fuck them. Fuck them. Wokest motherfuckers. Yeah.
Has someone come at you for being woke?
I mean, I'm sure they would.
I have gotten canceled so many times for not being woke. I don't know if you know that about me. The Kamala voters love saying I'm a filthy Jew who's insufficiently Jewish because I call her a bitch. Like, and I'm like, I don't see how me calling her a bitch. If they had been like, oh, this fucking misogynist, I'd be like, no, but I could see why you'd think that.
Right.
I did dance in the neighborhood after all, but when they're like, "Oh, look, you're not sufficiently loyal to Israel," I was like, "Whoa, what?"
Whoa.
Yeah, these are by the way, these are Kamala supporters, which are fat Canadian white women, which is also why she can't get elected. Just for the record, if your support is fat Canadian women and you're running in an American election, you can't win. I'm sorry. And it's not that there aren't enough of them to propel you to office. Canada, if I remember correctly, is a nation of 450 million fat, awful Kamala stands, and then like 9 dudes like Skirt, and then a bunch of weird weed-loving, gun-loving, pedophilia-loving conservatives. Like, that's the demographics of Canada. So it's not that she doesn't have the raw numbers to win, but let's face it, wrong country. She could beat Trudeau, is what I'm saying. She could beat Trudeau, like, by just an insane margin. They're reproducing by mitosis.
Has that actually been polled? I'm just curious. Has that actually been polled?
Yeah.
Like if they ran head to head.
Yes, and Jake will inform you that I have done a lot of scientific research on this topic.
Yes, there was some number of research done.
Yeah, I extrapolated.
I viewed many researches.
Yeah, what I did was
I conducted a systematic review.
Well, I got my most engagement ever. I got roughly 300 death threats, and I got about 800 insufficient loyalty to Israel comments, and I got another 500 just because you're a Jew doesn't give you the right to blah blah blah, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
right, to be a Jew.
Right, yeah, to be a political commentator. So I figured that was 1,600 negative comments, all of them unilaterally from these awful Canadian women, or just their fucking meth-looking husbands with like a tap out T-shirt and then like a pun hat like Po Buddy's Nerfect. You know what I mean? So and just that beard, that not a good lumberjack beard. Not a shit beard. It's just like this middling pasty white beard that's just like generic, and you can just go down to the store and get put on you for $3. The barber will just whip one up. So I extrapolated, if 1,600 of them saw that, there has to be 450 million in Canada, because my relative Twitter presence is very low. I don't make a lot of impact on the Bird website, so if 1,600 of them felt the need to either attack me for being Jewish or threaten me with death, I was like, oh man, so Canada has to have 450 million of these women and their awful husbands. Just their awful, shitty husbands who are like, I'll fuck you up. And I'm like, you could not fuck up a can of Pringles, dude. you are not crushing that, you weak bitch.
His little fist keeps getting caught and crushing them all.
You're a top, but your wife still crushes you during sex, all right? You are just the thinnest, scraggiest piece of shit I ever did see. And all of them are white. There's no black people in Canada. That's a myth. Just from those comments and my extrapolations, that has to be a myth. Statistically speaking, no blacks in Canada. Not a thing. No Asians, no Latino. They're all just awful white, and they all love Kamala Harris. A lot of them are like, I looked like that when I was young, and it's like, you did not. You literally can't. That is not. Your memories are just awful. You demon women. But yeah, so that's what I figured. And I figured they also practice polygamy because there's so many of these women to so few of these men. Now, granted, the men were willing to step up and threaten me with death every time, but I figured that the 300 to 1300 ratio, they have to have, like, these guys are like corralling 4 of them at once. Again, I'm doing scientific research here. That's what Canada is. It's way bigger than the United States population-wise, and it's just these awful Kamala voters who can't vote for Kamala. And it's like, well, you're as smart as you seem. So thank you.
Genius.
Yeah. All I said was, I have done more for black women than Kamala Harris because I've never sent a black woman to jail. And that's how Kamala got to the national stage, is sending black women to jail. Lots of them. Which all of that is true. I have, by that metric, everybody here has done more for black women than Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Right. But you voiced an opposite.
I mean, we've even
and-
paid a
and so
black
you had
man,
to get
as we
yelled
said
at.
before.
Right. Presumably, at least one black woman in a roundabout way benefited from that payment.
Yeah.
So, just saying, our record on race relations is better than Kamala Harris's. We have never gone... You know what? We're better to the Latinos, too. Fuck them. Because you know what? We have never, ever, ever gone to a South American country and told those fuckers to stay home or we'll jail you.
Or bombed them.
Or bomb them. We have never. The Sons of Trier has never launched a coup in a Latin American country. So far, we're beating the lid.
We've never bombed them.
None of
We're gonna
us.
stick. We're gonna
None
stick
of us
hardcore parkour
have-
at that line.
Yeah. Wait, what coup have you done?
Listen, we've had operatives already. We have said it actively that we were participating in coups on the show.
But
That
here's
has
the
been-
thing.
There's been lines that we have said.
None of us have ever been like zooted to the gills on Klonopin while on a state visit and like giggled at something really solemn.
All right, listen.
So we're still
If
better.
you're gonna keep playing this, you need to stop saying things that could apply to technically anyone. Okay, I'll take a drink.
Jake's like, God damn it, stop. I'm not winning it
Stop.
anymore. Change the list to Asians. I'll be fine. By the way,
I will be. Let's find a different nationality.
True is still at the power plant. He's been there.
Well,
He's been there 7 nights a week, and it's been worrisome because when I ask him how it's doing, he's like, "It's great. I dance the night away. I love erasure." And I'm like, "How is the thing that generates the electricity, the nuclear fuel?" And he's like, "I don't know shit about that." He's like,
that sounds right.
He's like, "It's a name, you dumb dipshit. It's not." And I'm like, "True. I have to. Can I see the balance sheet?" And he just shows me a picture of his ass, and I'm like, "That's not."
He's balancing something on it.
And I'm like, "That's not a balance sheet." He's like, "What are you talking about? Look how even it is." He puts a level on it. He takes another picture, and I'm like, "God damn it, insane bit every fucking night."
You think you would have learned by now?
I think he would have learned by now what I meant by a balance sheet. God damn it.
Well, you can't just keep saying balance sheet into the wind and expect him to get it. That's not how people work.
I can say whatever the hell I want into the wind. That's literally my life. That is literally 7 years of this show. It's just that. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about now. You're pulling some true shit on me.
Listen, it was always pronounced gaslighting. I didn't want to be the one to bring it up to you, but clearly it's gone on too long.
Gaslighting. Yeah, just like Gorg. Yeah, just like the name Gorg. The G goes both ways like a bisexual, all right? It goes both ways. It can be a G or a J, so it's fine to call it a GIF or a GIF. It doesn't matter. It's a fucking made-up acronym.
It's a jorf.
God, I hate being sick. I get something. It just won't get out of there. You know what I mean? It's terrible. It's right in my lungs, too.
Oh, I know what you mean.
I did not pay you to do a coup in Brazil a few months ago. I paid you to do it 2 years ago, and your lazy ass finally got down there. There on 1/8.
Doing my best, bro. It's not my fault that you think all Latin American people, 1, come from Brazil, or 2, speak Portuguese.
I do not think that all of you speak Portuguese. I've run the numbers. It has to be 30%.
I am not a part of the 30%.
No, but that's a disproportionate number. That is a disproportionate number, and you know I'm right.
It's probably close.
Yeah. I'm not crazy. Brazil's big. It's like fucking Texas big or bigger.
It might even be as big as Texas.
Yeah, it might even be as big as Texas. George Washington. Yeah. The famous president, George Washington. Thank you, Chad. Thank you for backing me up.
Things potentially as large as Texas.
Anybody want to go down to Florida?
States.
Do you guys want to take a trip to Florida and then just like throw things at Bolsonaro while he's shopping in a grocery store?
Ooh. Don't threaten me with a good time.
I kind of want to do that. I kind of just want to go down there and just be like, "Hey, oh my God, you're gyro balsamic vinaigrette." And you were like the president of Chile, right? When he's like he's like speaking Portuguese at me, like something about you commie little shit. But like, oh my God, dude, don't fall down and just fall into a fucking don't trip, right? And then slide across the floor because you managed to hit the only icy patch in Florida, and then end up like smacking into the fucking melons and then falling up it, and then doing a flip into the goddamn beer section, popping them all, and then finding the one guy who's not smoking in Florida, who's about to light up a cigarette, and just catch yourself on fire. You fucking Looney Tune.
Oddly specific.
Yeah, well, he's like a living Looney Tune, so I was like kind of grasping a Looney Tune cartoon, but it's so far removed from me now, like I forgot how they ran. I was trying a Dan thing and it failed. My Dan impersonation is terrible tonight. I'm just off. It's because I'm sick.
We gotta reprogram this robot.
Yeah, we gotta get behind it. And I am chugging water like crazy. I'm just gonna piss in the bottle though. Refill it. Life hack: pee in your own drinks. You get double the drink.
I as a wellness advisor in another space, I cannot recommend the whole drinking your own urine thing.
Oh no, you don't.
Sorry.
You don't think that I should smell like a urinal when I talk? And you don't think I
mean,
should
maybe you already do. I can't speak to that, but
no. Only hooker pee.
Oh, okay. Well, and that's very different from things like regular street living person pee or dog pee. Dog pee is really unique. Yeah, don't drink that shit.
Can I tell you one of my can I tell you one of my favorite street jokes?
Let's hear it.
What's the difference between a garbanzo bean and a chickpea?
Oh, I know the answer to this one.
Do you know Juniper?
The difference between a garbanzo bean and a chickpea.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does it have something to do with squatting? I'm going in that direction.
You're closer than you should be.
I've never paid $50 to have a garbanzo bean on my face and then call me a filthy Jew.
A little twist there at the end. I wasn't ready for that
You
change.
gotta have spice. You gotta have spice. Gotta kick up a street joke a notch. Actually, I'll tell you what. I do have one favorite street joke. I do have one. Okay. Guy walks into a deli counter, right? Walks in.
Mhm.
He sees a sign above the counter. It says cheese sandwich is $2. Hand job's $10. So then he sits and thinks for a moment, and then he sees this really pretty waitress, and he goes, "Excuse me, miss, are you the young lady giving out the hand jobs?" And she goes, "Why, yes, I am." And he goes, "Perfect." He hands her a $20 bill. He says, "I want you to go wash your hands and get me 10 cheese sandwiches." That's my favorite all-time joke. That is it. That is me in a nutshell right there. It's the funniest thing I could ever, like, I'll never hear a funnier joke than that.
I like that one.
Yeah. That is my absolute all-time favorite. Although the chickpea and the garbanzo bean one, that's pretty close second.
Pretty solid.
I'll tell you what, this is one of the few work stories I'll tell you. 62-year-old woman comes up to me, and she goes, I'm gonna use my stage name, but she didn't say the stage name. She said my real name, right? She goes, "Dan, do you want to hear a joke?" And I'm like, I'm expecting something really cutesy because that's how this woman presents herself, and I'm like, "Sure." I'm not gonna say her name. "Sure, I would love to." And she goes, how is driving in the fog like eating pussy?" And I was like, "All right, you got me. You got me, 62-year-old woman. You got me, somebody's grandma. How is it the same?" And she's like, "You can't see the asshole in front of you." And I was like, "All right, that's good. It's a good one. You got
That's
me.
a good one.
You got me."
Yeah. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. It's made better when she tells it because you don't expect a woman of her age to just walk up and be like, "You want to hear a dirty joke?" Not at work, anyway.
Well, no, I mean, not so dirty. But no, there was one lady I used to see at work that was very fond of jokes. She was an older lady, and one of the ones that always sticks with me is what's the difference between a Greyhound terminal and a lobster with a boob job?
What's the difference? I don't know.
One's a busty crustacean. The other is a crusty bustation.
That's actually pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Or maybe you're supposed to say them in the other order, but I digress.
No, that one's good. That's a good joke.
No, yeah, and that's a good one to, like, throw at me over your walker. I like that.
Definitely should do more of that, old people. Tell those jokes and not the one that's like, "What do you call a broken beer bottle?" I'm not finishing that
Racial
joke.
slur.
Yeah, a slur. It's a slur and then a knife, and then
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I had never heard that one before.
I heard that one at work too. From somebody on the phones, and I was like, I don't need to be hearing this.
Yeah.
I can go get a better setup from that joke from Clerks 2 than I can from you, sir. I'm going to go ahead and finish your application here. You hear wild shit on the phones. One time some guy just straight up was like, "You fucking heeb," and I was like, "Whoa, nailed it."
Excuse me?
Well, I was like, considering the fact I didn't tell him I was Jewish, I was like, "You nailed that one on the first try. Good for you." Hung up. Like, it's like, wow. Patting 1,000 there, buckaroo. Counterpoint. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You hit the hang up button. Good for you. You did it in one swift move. You fuck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, people say wild shit on phones.
Yeah, I try to.
Yeah.
I don't like being on the phone. I don't care for it anymore.
I embrace it.
Chat, who's our favorite son? What do you mean? Like the Sons of Trier? Oh, your favorite is Michael Jordan Peterson, huh? I think I know who you are. And you would say that. True's hiding in the chat. Oh my. So, I don't know. I don't really have, I'll be honest, I don't really have any brass tacks. I thought about, I have been considering something. So we can kind of riff that one live if you want, right?
Yeah?
Yeah. You want to risk it?
Risk it for the biscuit? What have you been what you been chewing on?
With the good old Constitution there, right?
The one that we stole in that movie?
Nah, was it stolen in a movie?
Our movie.
We don't have a movie.
We did make a movie.
No, we didn't.
I remember stealing a Constitution. No, maybe it was the Declaration. Most Americans don't know the difference anyway. I don't think it matters.
I don't think so either. But look at those founding. You know how phlegmy I am? See? Again, just terrible. It's all in there. It's coming out. I don't want it to come out right now. With that document, right? When we get into the talk about America is racist or America is not racist, which is the more ludicrous of the two propositions, I think evidence, just your eyes tell you that, right? At least they should, if your brain's working properly. The kind of debate is whether or not I think it's a false debate by myself, right? I think that's where I land. But that idea that it's built into the DNA, right? It's coded into the law or whatever at the very beginning. And I think the Constitution itself kind of solves that, right? Considering it references slavery 3 times in the affirmative. I think we agree that kind of settles it, right? But it gets into the question of what do they mean by all men are created equal? What do they mean by men? What do they mean by personhood in the Constitution? What definition are they operating under? What is a person to the original founding fathers, and what is a person today, right? So, what are you and Juniper weigh in first? What do you think of when you think of what like personhood is from a legal standpoint? How do you conceptualize that?
Are you talking about currently? Are you talking about like in the Constitution?
Let's start in the Constitution. Let's start old and let's go new. Let's see if we think of it. Let's see if we conceive of a change.
Well, like true personhood was only if you were like a white male landowner. Like those were the only people that really counted as people that were worthy of notice. Now you could use others as sort of like counters, as like, well, we have this many souls on board, shall we say. But they didn't count as people as such, you know. Your women, your children, your minorities, your po-white men that like didn't actually own anything.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna take a bold stance here. I think the alternative did count as personhood, whenever it was desired to be. Right, and I think of things like the 3/5 compromise, right? So clearly, when it was convenient for election purposes, yeah, all these slaves are definitely people, obviously.
Well, they're kind of people. They're 3/5 of people.
Well, the 3/5 was a compromise made because they didn't want them. In those cases, Southern landowners wanted them to count as whole people.
Right. For the purposes of counting.
Sure. So, I don't know, man. I think personhood's tied to mental capacity, the capacity to emote. I think, question mark, but I haven't given conscious thought to this. This is an off-the-cuff answer for you. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Am
Like
I
I said,
allowed an off-the-cuff answer?
I'm riffing. I was working on something earlier, and I got to be honest. I've been up since 6 a.m. I'm tired, so it's just things are escaping me now. I need to sleep. I'm a big lumbering bear. I need to sleep at some point, and I just haven't. And with these lungs, with these awful lungs, it's just gotten to me. So I think I generally speaking agree that they conceptualize the difference between a political actor and a person as different things, right? I think that's where I fall because that seems to be like when you start perusing that document, you start looking at when they use the term person and when they start using like who has political power, they clearly mean two very different groups, right? One's
Right.
inclusive and one's exclusive, and they're pretty clear about which is which.
Right.
You know, when they set forth who can be a voter, for example, I think they're pretty clear about who can wield and have political power and who can participate in the democracy. And I think when they talk about persons, I think they mean any human body it has personhood, but also personhood kind of doesn't mean shit to these people. If that
Right.
makes
Like
sense.
you can be a person, but who gives a shit about a person? Like, you know, we use persons as like building blocks.
Yeah.
Now a citizen, a freeholder. Now that matters.
Yeah, I think that's where I kind of fall on it. I think it's a misnomer to understand it as not personhood or personhood, because then like there's that sub debate of like what the 3/5 compromise represents, with the conservatives being like, see, they didn't want to count black people at all. But like the corollary to that is, yeah, because they didn't want slave-holding states having undue power, and this was one of the mechanisms by which slave-holding states wanted to have undue power. Is a person a legal object? That's an interesting question too. I think yes. I think the conception of personhood in the Constitution, at least as I read it, right, when I bother to read the document, which is not often, but when I do read it, I think personhood refers to a specific type of legal object.
Right. Because like labor laws are not drafted into the Constitution. You'll notice.
Well, the only ones that were pertain to slavery. Slavery and private property ownership. Wage labor was not drafted in. Wage labor was presumed to exist. Indentured servitude was presumed to exist. Debt peonage was presumed to exist. And all of that was just taken like, oh, however, you sort it out yourself.
Right. Because that's what people do.
Yeah, that's how those big
Sometimes,
questions should be handled.
sometimes you kind of be owning somebody.
Well, if you're talking, if you're talking 1776 to 1964, yeah,
Yeah.
you do that do be happening.
Apparently.
Unfortunately. But that's kind of I think that's kind of an important point though, because when we talk about like it kind of it to me it tethers in. Like I said, this one's really like you're actually seeing Dan's brain, like you're seeing the gears work now, people. So bear with me, right? Because we have debated this in similar things before with like freedom and shit like that, which I know Jenk doesn't really want to go down a rabbit hole. Fair enough. I don't think Michael Jordan Peterson does either. My stances on freedom are pretty wild, but I don't think they're complete. Nothing negative. I don't think it's negative. I think it's just it is. Uh, I could be wrong though. Fuck me, right? Um, but I think, right, when you conceptualize personhood to the conservative mindset, the libertarian mindset, personhood is exactly as Chat said. It is a status of a legal object. It is something in society that can have things overlaid upon it. It does not inherently confer anything with that status, and that's kind of a big. If we fast forward to the modern era, I don't think their conception of that has changed at all. Like I think they're operating under the exact same principles, which is why they're like, you can't have an abortion because that's a person, right? That is a legal object that will exist in society in whatever legal status it has. And I don't think progressives have a conception of that. And I think the left doesn't have a very good conception of personhood versus humanity. At least not sufficient to counteract that. And that's kind of a question I wrestle with, and I never come up with an answer I like. So when I work through it, I always arrive at a bad answer, and I go, well, time to scrap that shit. Tried it, failed. So I'm kind of posing that to you. I'm kind of offloading some of this work to bounce it off of other brains because I'm not doing it by myself. Some of this shit I can pull off by myself. This I can't. Right? This is a really deep one.
As far as who ought to count in our categories?
No, how do we define personhood? Like, what is a person? Like, what is that thing?
I'm still sticking with my opinion that it is something with the capacity to feel emotions.
Is that good enough though? Because like that accidentally crosses off the catatonics, presumably.
Right,
I'm
and also
not necessarily convinced if you're catatonic that you can be counted amongst people. So,
and it also means that like, pet pigs frolicking are people too, and I don't know if I want to go down that road.
Yeah, like if you're truly brain dead, I don't know, man.
The catatonic isn't truly brain dead though. The catatonic has brain activity. They have the inability to express that, generally speaking.
Yeah, they're kind of stuck. They're kind of
okay. So we're not capable of recognizing their capacity to emote, but that doesn't mean they can't emote.
Right, but that means we can't. We as the objective observer can't see it. So in the social relation, we can't utilize that as a criteria by itself. I think that's why I don't like that answer.
How would you, as a lay person, distinguish between somebody who was catatonic and somebody who was brain dead?
Yeah, I don't. That's the beauty of that, right? Is I don't need to. It's not on me. I'm not a doctor. I don't need to decide where the line is drawn.
Orangutan lawyer, CEO, dog. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, like that's the thing too. Is I'm intentional about I recognize that my line also means that there are certain animals that probably are capable of counting as people. And I like that answer partially because of that, right? I do think things like dogs that are very clearly capable of emoting fear and things like that should be starting to edge towards personhood status. And similarly, things like, great apes, which very clearly are capable of emoting, are very clearly in line with people. Like, the things that we have done to the great apes in the world are obviously atrocious.
Yeah.
And I think that definition does include those quite sufficiently.
Fair. I'm not on the Dawkins train, though, for that. We have enough problems granting personhood to persons anyway, and having
don't get me wrong.
That I don't want to start lumping in animals with it and watering
we
that down.
shouldn't be worrying about the floor, is what you're saying, Dan?
I think there needs to be a clear floor. Like, if you will, a glass ceiling for animals. Yeah, I think there has to be a glass ceiling for animals.
Okay, so Homo sapiens is a requirement, or Homo sapiens or reasonable proximity there too.
Yeah, I'm not excluding the Neanderthal holdovers and anybody who might have anything else as a holdover, but I'm not.
How about aliens?
Aliens? I don't know. That's too abstract.
Okay.
I'm not a techno-futurist.
Kick all the Latinos out. Whatever.
Whoa.
Thought we were a woke show. You're throwing aliens out of there.
Okay, reify the term aliens there. Slow down. Slow down.
I was intending extraterrestrial biological entities.
I know. I was fucking with them.
Yeah.
Whenever the last time that we talked about intellectual property rights, is this how we ended up talking about it?
Well, I don't have any respect for intellectual property rights, including my own. Cephalopods are smarter than humans. Cephalopods are people. Counterpoint.
Yep.
Counterpoint.
Pro octopi people.
Counterpoint.
Get fucked.
Which one of us can nuke the entire planet?
I don't know if that's a positive counterpoint. That doesn't make us more people.
No
No, but it does make
cephalopod
us
has
fucking
developed
cleverer.
the ability to smoke weed.
You got an entire
That's not
body with a
true.
brain, and the best thing you can do is like crawl out of a tank and eat some fish. Fuck off.
Also not
Like,
true.
wait though. Okay. Didn't they just? If you're Roald Dahl's grandchild, didn't they just make the books less racist so you could continue to sell the books and make money and shit?
Well, they took
Like,
out all the
Well, right,
N-words, which
they're
were
putting
weirdly
out.
enough 2 per page.
was it Roald Dahl been dead for a long time? Like, I'd say that's pretty good treatment of somebody who's dead, is to go on regarding them as an incredibly important person who retains rights to shit and it passes to their survivors. I mean, like, he's
Huh.
dead and he's being treated like more of a person than a lot of people that I work with and know.
True.
All right, chat, show me their calculus and I'll buy it. Show me cephalopod calculus and I'll buy it. That's all. That's all I'm
Listen,
saying.
I'm pro cephalopod people. I just want the chat to know that.
I'm not even saying eat them. Frankly, I don't really think we should be eating octopuses. That's one of the meats I would
I do not.
leave off the table. But counterpoint, we're smarter than them. We're better at using
The
tools than any other animal on the planet. That's fact.
Jenks rules for eating something falls down to if it's smarter than some people I know, I probably shouldn't eat it. Cephalopods definitely fall in the slightly too smart category.
Yeah, as a species though, we got them beat. I mean, again, space
Um,
travel, scooting out of a tank to get fish. I'm not even saying that's not impressive, and I'm not saying it's not smart. But I am saying that's your fucking crowning achievement. Fuck off. Okay, we have Asian porn.
because
You don't get shit on us.
my my objection was going to be that some evil people might be delicious, and I don't think that we should swear off eating something just because it's sentient.
Well, yeah. I guess if I were to be more technical, the baseline personhood is different than my own selfish definition of personhood because I need to carve out a way that we can eat the rich, right?
Like,
Okay.
But I'm gonna
I'm still,
try to leave that bias out for a moment.
I'm
Okay.
still trying to think of things that are not people, like dead authors, that are treated better than most of the people that I know. I know there's a lot of things that just clearly are not people that are treated
Sure.
much better than the average American.
Many firearms.
Right. Yeah. You can't be, infringing on their right to just lay around everywhere waiting for somebody to pick them up,
Inanimate object, not interested in giving a personhood. Now, I'm talking material shit here. What makes a person? That's the question I have before me. That's what's gnawing at me because
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like, shit is so warped that there's probably a lot of inanimate objects that are treated better with more personhood than most people. Like a corporation. Like, my boss at this job I just got out of is always worried about, like, doing the wrong thing. Like, but it's just gonna, you can't hurt her. It's not a person, right? Like, shouldn't we always try to make sure we treat the people that work there better than we treat a company which isn't a person? And yet we do the opposite. We do the opposite as hard as we can every night. Like,
but the corporate entity is used as a tool to treat the shareholders better.
oh yeah, there you go. Okay. So you can
So
see the representation of them. Yeah. Okay.
So when they do that corporation or people shit, that's because the corporation is a machine that directly benefits the shareholders, which is better for the shareholders. So that's a neat little sleight of hand, and that's where like progressives kind of get lost in the forest for the trees problem with this shit because the CEO
Yeah.
doesn't experience the CEO experiences individual personhood and then he experiences the benefits of the corporate entity receiving subsidy better than a human being, but the corporate entity represents the CEO and the board and the shareholders. So it is nothing more than a replication of capitalism's tendency to hoard and concentrate wealth at the expense of the masses.
Yes.
So that
Like
relationship isn't anything new or surprising. And when progressives are surprised by this, it's like, where the fuck you been at, bro?
yeah. In
What country
what
you
is
been living
it?
in?
The decision where they get to have speech. They get to have unlimited speech. I can't think what the name of the decision is, but everybody knows what it is.
Yeah.
Really, they're just giving the shareholders speech.
Yeah, they're giving the shareholders a different level of speech that is above and beyond normies. They're not.
Right. I think you're thinking of Citizens United.
Yes. Thank you for the fact check on that because that is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's 110
No,
right.
my brain finally spit it out.
No, you've done real good work there, and let's not poop on that. And by the way, Jenk, I don't like. I want to say this too. I'm not like, oh my god, can you believe Jenk said that? Like, it's like it's a matter of like I disagree, but it's a better jump off point than what we have, right? The formation under liberalism is such dog shit because well, look at what their conception of personhood has led to, and then tell me I'm wrong, right? I don't think this is a hard argument for me to win because I can just wave my arm at the world and this is what it's done. So that's a shit definition. Like I don't have to try hard here. Balls in my court, and I'm up on points.
We already know what their end game is too. We know that the only reason that they would care whether or not somebody was a person was so that they could then immediately ask, what kind of person? And then once you say what kind of person, they can means test them and determine what they get and what they don't get.
Is the answer then something like we have to? It's not an answer to the actual question, right? But it is a jumping off point of where to ask the next question. Is that since monarchism defined personhood as subjectivity in relation to God as poured through the king, and liberalism defines personhood in its ability. Well, I don't want to say that. How do I say this? In its ability to experience private property and social relations.
There you go.
Contained therein is ours then a personhood that is based on the relationship to the actual society. Did they create?
Yes. You hit it one time. You hit it one time when you were laying out that Marxism isn't about free shit, communism isn't about free shit. We very much expect you to do something for society. Yes, you hit this one time, really hard one night on here.
Now again, that's a short run answer because the long run answer is that also can't be the definitive answer. But I've already said that Marxism is the next step, not the final step, right? I'm not a withering of the state, gay luxury space communism, uber alles forever and ever, 1,000 year shit guy, right?
Why? When is it gay space communism's turn? Like, I just want gay luxury space communism. Like, one time, man.
I don't think it's not that it doesn't get a turn. I think it's that that turn is I think it gets a turn. I don't think it's not that it's the end point, right? There has to be something beyond it. Societies evolve, they crumble, they die.
I just want to drink champagne. I just want to drink champagne and eat caviar on my trip to Mars. Okay,
wow,
I just don't.
You know
Well,
what's
having
funny
gay
about?
sex. I just don't think it's unreasonable.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about a lot of the best gay sex space communism novels from the 1980s? Okay, you know what's funny about a lot of these novels? Okay, John Varley's Titan, for example, is a series of 3 novels by this guy from the 80s, and it stars some lesbian space adventurers who are going around in space, obviously, like, to create all these spaceships and all this shit. It's just like Star Trek. They would have had to pool their resources on Earth. It's implied that Earth became, like, communist enough to make these awesome spaceships, right? And everybody's very fair to each other and they share everything. They're all very gay, right? But when the gay captain and her girlfriend get to the space thing that they're going to investigate, it's a big artificially created in the novel Titan by John Varley. It is a big artificial planet. In those Orson Scott Card novels, he's supposed to be a Mormon, but a lot of his stuff is also kind of gay. It's supposed to be Earth, but they had to run from the Earth to preserve. The premise always starts gay space communism is rolling along and everybody loves it, but then it's almost like the author themselves is bored and wants those characters to find relics of other more interesting things. Like, why is that? Like, are people really such drama queens? Are people
Yes.
really so addicted to drama that even the
Yes.
idea of a 10,000-year day space communism Imperium is like, is
Yes.
foreign to them to imagine.
Yes. There's no drive for the plot to move forward if everything is solved and good, and most problems most problems arise, I don't know if you've noticed, from a combination of an inability to communicate in literature or or unequal access of goods and services, and
And
thus gay space communism solves both problems instantly, and there can be no fighting in this literature.
yeah,
Chat has a question here. Did they create personhood to exclude black people? I have a radical answer on that. A lot of the progressives think yes. A lot of progressives also think that that should be changed and just substituted as a no. Conservatives think it's a no. I think it's a no with an asterisk, and that asterisk is they need black persons in that society to set up the caste and class system. And it's because in a capitalist society there needs to be an element of unwaged labor, i.e., what would be indistinguishable from or properly called slavery. And those two groups have experienced that most are anybody who has to run their own household and actual fucking slaves. Those are the bottom of the caste system. Literally slaves at the bottom, and then people who have to run their own household and do their own fucking dishes right above them. Because they both perform the critical function of unwaged labor. The difference is one of them does maintenance labor to make sure laborers and workers can get out and produce profit, and the other ones are explicitly persons whose labor is being stolen in the most complete way, along with the other things that would define them as a person. But the Constitution, I think, directly defines those people as persons to know what the baseline is. This is the absolute bottom rung. It can't, if you will, it can't get any lower than this. But that's not a positive answer either. I don't want that to be taken as like a no, they're definitely people. To the Constitution, from what I can read, they're people, but that doesn't really mean shit either. People are just human beings in the world. They are literally just tabula rasa, blank slates, and whatever conditions they're born with in the Constitution allows them then to be sorted and have things done unto them. Right? We think of the Constitution as, in a lot of ways, the Bill of Rights as yielding to us freedoms or being a sacrosanct kind of object that enshrines freedom. And I think it's the opposite. I think it defines itself that way to explicitly express like what you can expect to be done unto you, which is not freedom. That's not what those documents do.
Here's the shit we agree we can't get away with.
Right. Here's the bare minimum of what we can't do to you, and here's absolutely everything else under the sun we fucking can. Which
and we only even sat down and wrote it down because we thought that a guy was being too mean to us. Like,
yeah.
we never even would have sat down and wrote it down before that because we always thought, just like the temporarily embarrassed millionaires of today, we always thought, well, one day I might be in charge of a bunch of guys. I want complete freedom to do shit to them. I don't want to rule anything out. I don't want to rule anything out that I might do when I have power.
Right. I'm only going to rule out the bare minimum that might impede my power. I don't want to rule out the things that will stop me from exercising my power once I have it. Yeah, that's probably a better I think at least from where I'm sitting, that's how I read that document. Black personhood was absolutely sacrosanct in the Constitution, but that was the basis for abuse. It's horrific abuse. It was not the basis for their liberation. And it can't be the basis for their liberation because that document specifically was fucking designed to not liberate them.
Oh, for sure. Right.
So that can't be the thing. And mind you, the writers of that Constitution did not see the indigenous or black people as any different for most purposes. Because they define them enough that you could tell them apart, right? You know who they're talking about, but otherwise they made sure that this is the bottom of the fucking cast. The people we conquered here or abroad.
Yeah,
Like,
we the people is white Europeans. We the people is the unbroken line leading back to the fucking bloody beginnings of the most killingest, most winningest, awfulest motherfuckers on the planet.
yeah, and that's something that I always kind of like. As this is an aside, but that's always something that kind of gnawed at me. Why are we upset? Why are we communists obsessed with the masses, and why are we not obsessed with the people? And it kind of, I heard an explanation on This Is Revolution podcast. I actually kind of like, and that the evidence kind of points to this, to me at least, right? That the people are the politically enfranchised, right? We the people. That's who wrote that fucking document, and that kind of holds true across the world, mind you. That's not just Americentrism. The people have always kind of referred to the people with the political enfranchisement. The masses refers to everybody. So it makes sense that the communist makes a distinction between the people and the masses. And we kind of eschew the people because we've seen what they've done with personhood, and it's bullshit. Firmly in that camp myself. The only other people who see it that way are, comically enough, the fascists. But the fascists are definitely concerned with domination of the masses, not acting as the arbiter of power for the masses. Right? That's the difference between the fascists and the communists. The communists need to control the communists need to act as the arbiter of the will of the masses, the people with the political power to get the shit done that the masses need and want. Whereas the fascist specifically has to take control of the masses so that they can determine the future of the masses. Right? It's about how you conceive of the political power of the masses. Are you their arbiter or are you their jailer? And that is one of the huge distinctions between the fascists and the communists, which is when they're like, oh, Stalin and Hitler both, different. They're wildly different. Different in their political conceptions and formations, different in their tactics, different in their outcomes. Right? There's a reason one of those people is remembered as the great conqueror for the white race and the fallen idol, and one of those people is remembered as the great conqueror for the masses and the great liberator. There is a staunch reason why those two people are viewed differently, and it is irresponsible to think of them as equivalent. But it is fair to say both of them had an opinion on the masses. Right? Both of them thought about the masses, not just the people. Although, if you look at how Hitler talked, when he talked about the masses, he talked about those with disdain, whereas he talks about the Volk, the people, he talks about them with a high praise because he's talking about fucking Germans. The racism is built in, right? The read is right there. The conception of the people is the race purity. So I'm not, if you will, I'm not worried about the people. I'm worried about the masses, right? That's where I fall. I fall with Mao and Stalin and all those guys. I fall with Karl Marx and whatnot. I firmly, proudly in that tradition. You can't fuck with the masses, right? But that brings up, still though, we do need to, as a function of that, the masses have to be made up of people, right? At the end of the day, in the non-racist, non-reified sense, to mean the race purity or what fucking ever bullshit these assholes throw at you, the masses has to mean the people. And we have to take that over. So that's why it's important, I think. It's either important to eschew using the term the people and start talking about the masses, or it's important to redefine personhood clearly so that we have an avenue in political discourse, because we don't right now. Like, we're just contrarians ultimately. We don't like the liberals. We really hate the conservatives, right? One we'd like to see, if you want to be like, if you're somebody like me and you want to be cold, one you want to see jailed, and one you want to see shot. And that's still just the politics of vengeance. That's still just the liberal conservative paradigm being acted out, except we're a third way, and it's a shitty third way to only act out of revenge and act out of jealousy and envy and so on. Those negative emotions, sinful emotions, right? That's not sufficient. That's not sufficient for a political project. That'll get you. If you look at what happened with George Floyd, right? That was an excellent act of revenge against the system. But what did it do? It didn't do nothing. There was no justice for Mr. Floyd, and there can't be justice for Mr. Floyd under this system. The system has to be destroyed for there to be justice for somebody like that. And I pick him out because the laundry list of people who fill that role is nauseating. It's disgusting that is the way the system operates, that has to happen. And, people be like, it doesn't have to happen. You can reform the police. Fucking, that's your TYT right there. The progressives, you can reform that shit. No, you can't. Because it's not designed to that. It's in the DNA, right? I think we all agree that the bad shit's in the thing. The machine reproduces the bad shit because that's what it's built to do. You can't expect it.
If they're
It's
having a
baked
day
right
where they
in.
want to, if they're having a day where they want to play it safe, maybe their numbers are down, maybe they want to get some more eyeballs. They'll say, "Well, those people are in power, so we have to at least capitulate to them now." Even if they don't say reform them all the way, they say, "Well, you still can't. Radical shit ain't gonna do nothing." They'll still say that.
Yeah, they'll take a stab in that direction, but they'll be like, well, we need more mental health funding. We can't defund the police. People want the police. Blah blah blah. I don't even disagree with the idea that people want a police force that protects them, but the police force that we have doesn't do that. You can't reform the thing because it's filled with all the people who don't want to do the thing. They're not going to do the thing. They're going to find loopholes to not do the thing. They do it now. They're just like, all right, fuck it. We're just going to draw a paycheck and not show up if your house is on fire. If you're in a car accident. Like, okay, fuck you. Good luck. Well, what's the point?
I, a disgraced millionaire, am concerned about whenever I am no longer disgraced but continue being a millionaire.
Yeah.
And I want the police to protect my interests, and I know they will.
Like when progressives are too scared to say defund the police because they think it's going to make us like never be able to win anything or never be able to convince anybody. When they do that, like another fucked up thing that people will say or try to show you or something is they'll try to be like, okay, look, here is a town somewhere that was small enough that after the riots and everything, they reduced the size of their police force and they had more social workers going out there and stuff. Okay, we've seen what happens to that in America. Okay, it's just like, oh, we're not gonna glass Cuba. We're not gonna drop a nuke on it. We're gonna put a bunch of embargoes on it so that it seems ineffective, and then we're always gonna point at it and say this didn't work.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what they're gonna do. Any small town that tries to slowly or progressively replace their police force with social workers or something different, that's going to be done just like Cuba. They're going to fucking make sure that it fails, and they're going to point at it and say, well, we tried that. It didn't work. We never have to do that again. We never want to hear about that again from you motherfuckers. The police are eternal now.
Yeah, God knows the Haitian Revolution has led to just the torment of those fucking people who've done nothing to America, and nothing to do with America, but the fucking very idea that the slaves would revolt against the master and seize their own freedom out from under them was so fucking daunting that come hell or high water, we will, and that'll be the final act of America would be to drop a nuke on Haiti. I promise you. The last thing we will do as a political entity is a war crime against Haiti. As a final fuck you. That is
probably
if we allow
the day after their quote unquote debt to France is paid off.
Yeah.
They're having a big party. They're having a party and eat all kind of awesome fucking Caribbean food, and listen to music and shit. And then it's no way. No.
Yeah, honestly, like it would have like I think George W. Bush could have had the Third Reich if he had just been like, yeah, you don't have to pay that back, Haiti. We're not holding you to that. I really, like, there's a part of me that really, like, in retrospect, thinks if he had just been out there and in his dumb little way had been like, yeah, Haiti, you don't have to pay France shit. You don't owe France nothing. And that's backed by America. Like, he would have lost a lot of his base at home, but he would have recovered enough that he could have solidified the Third Reich, especially if he had pounced right after. Because what he would have done is he would have scooped up the black vote, right? Like, that's ultimately what happened. Like, black liberals would have in droves gone to the Republican Party if he had been like, yeah, black people don't owe France shit from Haiti. Like, they could have won it right there, and I kind of feel awful now having even brought it out in the world because I feel like that could accidentally get back to one of them.
Do not be lathe of heaven in them.
Like, I don't think it would work as well for a Democrat because like the way the racial divide breaks down already, there is what more can you like what concessions can you make beyond reparations? And reparations are the like fucking no liberal's gonna push for reparations, right? Conservatives will openly be hostile to it, but liberals aren't gonna do it either. Like that's not gonna happen from them. So there's no concession they can make as grand as a conservative being like, yeah, fuck France. We're gonna trade with Haiti openly, and we're gonna help fix Haiti without seizing it and turning it into the 53rd state or whatever. I don't see how that wouldn't just lock up like black liberals into just a new like a new divide. And for like there is the I don't want to say fortunate because that would be a positive change overall, even if it were a Republican to not torment fucking poor Haiti over nothing, you know. Arguably over something good they did, right? I think it's a good thing. Bold stance, good on Haiti for kicking the slave masters out. Good for them. But it would not be beneficial to a left project if I'm going to be very cold about the calculus. It would be more beneficial if the leftists had the power to do that and then did it, right? That would be more beneficial because that would show solidarity for workers everywhere, and that would be very much on brand.
Just as a brief aside, would you say that since the rise of capitalism as essentially the thing that is mostly going around the world and doing stuff, since whenever you want to say that was, like, listening to the fucking the Chris Wade and the Matt Christman thing where they're saying it's right around the Reformation is the birth of it and shit. Like, however long capitalism been happening in this form,
yeah.
Would you say it is fair to say that more than 50%, maybe more than 60%, maybe a very high number, more than 50% of the GDP of every nation that does a capitalism, would you say has been spent just repressing other ways to do shit, just punishing places like Cuba or Haiti?
I think it's a statistically. I don't know the number.
I'm gonna say over 50. I'm gonna say over 50 right off the tip of my dick.
I don't know about that. I can say that 100% of the GDP is all on the premise of unwaged labor, of either direct slavery or forcing the laborers to engage in unwaged labor at home to maintain themselves for capitalism, arguably costing labor, right? They have to pay to do the labor. I have to pay.
Yeah.
I have to pay for the dishwashing liquid to do my dishes, right? The labor to maintain my life is a cost to me. And the only thing below that is the people who have no freedom to even go out and buy those things, right? I think 100% of GDP is generated off of that, or near 100%. Because the premise is to all the things, like like it sounds reductive, but somebody had to build Wall Street, and people have to go do the things they gamble on. Somebody at the point to make the wealth that Wall Street makes with its finance capitalism games has to go out and do a thing. Even as abstract as to give their quantitative easing value, there has to be a U.S. Army that threatens or conducts violence on behalf of the state to give the dollar its value overall for the system. Laborers have to go out and do that. They're trying, God bless them, they're trying to offload that onto robots and store that labor. But even then, those robots will have been built by human hands.
How much could a cheeseburger cost, Dan? Is it $20?
Yeah, exactly. So, how much has it been spent repressing populations? A good bit.
Yeah, I think about it all the time. I just think about, like, they say all this stuff is the project, and occasionally, like, Kennedy or somebody says the project is to go to the moon. We're gonna walk around in the space rock or whatever. Like, they have these other projects that they call them. But to me, like, the longest standing and most expensive and most, like, universally agreed upon project is the repression and the stunting of the growth of anything that might replace it or be better.
It might be fair to say 70% of the GDP, and this is just a Fermi's equation, right? All I'm doing is a Fermi calculation. It might be fair to say that about 70% of the GDP has been spent throughout this nation's history. I don't know about the day-to-day numbers, but 70% of it has been spent manufacturing institutions and systems to keep black people oppressed and to keep the indigenous oppressed and to oppress anybody else who shows up at the door, and even by extension the white working class oppressed. Like I would say that we white workers are last on that list, but we're on the list. There's a reality to what Appalachia looks like. I live it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yo.
Side note, I want more old timey radio announcer True. That was phenomenal.
fair.
Okay, hang on. Okay,
This is more unwaged labor, by the way.
Yes.
we've just received word over the wire that a white woman, a Karen in Hapsboro, Pennsylvania, has just demanded refund because they had Univision on the television at her pizza store. We've just received word that Hapsboro is incredibly racist. Where is that? Is that a real town, or did they just make that
Sounds sounds like a real town.
Hold on, let me bust out the old Google Maps because I'm not intimately familiar.
I
with
believe there is a Hatsboro, PA.
No. It's two words. It's Hapsboro. It's where that video with the woman screaming at the staff of the place because they had Spanish television on.
Oh, that was an actual thing?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I thought you were coming up with that off the cuff. I was like, damn.
Well, it's eternal. The Karening is eternal. You can intuit that a kind of Karening has happened somewhere in America, is happening, and will happen. But like that one is an actual factual event. Yes.
Chad, I need the spelling.
That's what I was asking Dan earlier when I saw that video. If HAP''S space BARROW Hapsboro, if that is in Pennsylvania's famous racism belt up there.
You mean Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Is it Pittsburgh or Philadelphia? If the answer to both of those questions is no, then yes, it is in the racism belt.
It's not a racism belt so much, it's just a sea of racism with two little rocks.
Coming up out of the ocean there, yeah.
I'm trying to
You
find
can
that
make
video.
an argument for I think you could make an argument for maybe State College, but probably not.
State College is where that border is. Racist rant. Okay, Hatboro.
It's like
Hatboro.
the title. Do you know the tidal flats? True, I assume being from the great state of the Carolinas.
Yes,
you've gone out onto the tidal plains at some point. You recognize that you can walk you're standing in it now. Got it.
Yeah,
So you can go a mile out.
Yeah, I'm ankle deep in the famous South Carolina pluff mud right now. I have my I'm only wearing overalls with suspenders. They're rolled up to my knees. I'm wearing the straw hat like the side characters and guys that Tom Sawyer cons into painting a fence. I got my fishing rod.
If you'd like to know where Hatboro is at, it is just north of the Philly.
Oh, okay.
No, but he was saying Hapsboro.
Hapsboro, yeah. No, it's Hatboro.
Oh, so the guy who posted the video just totally fucked up the name of this dumbass little town.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know about
I'm
double.
Shocked.
It is part of Philadelphia. Ultimately, it's part of Philadelphia because it's just a little bit northeast of King of Prussia. It's just north of Philadelphia. It's just west of Bensalem.
It's a suburb. It's a suburb.
It's a borough in Montgomery County, so it is like a small shitburg.
Oh, fucking Montco. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a town in your state called
Reading.
King of Prussia?
Yeah, we have a place called King of Prussia. Mm-hmm.
We don't have time to go into that. I'm gonna let that one slide. You just that's a freebie, Philadelphia. You can just have that one. We don't have time to go into that.
King. Oh no, but it's got a great mall. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
You would hear mythical stories about the King of Prussia Mall growing up.
I have heard mythical stories about that mall, and I live here,
Right?
literally on the other side. Like,
That's true.
yeah, on the other side of Harrisburg, for fuck's sake. Like, yeah.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, no. Lee actually knows where I'm from, Johnstown boy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Johnstown.
Johnstown, baby. It would be. It's southeast of where I am.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's more towards like the racism belt. We're at the edge, I would say. We are at the edge.
We are.
Yeah, there's from like I don't know what do you like Indiana. Katanning I think is a notable exception, but like when you get down to New Ken, like Indiana, New Ken, Butler, I'd say Newcastle, down to like Washington College and California College, like that area. All of that is like the Pittsburgh region, and then like Philadelphia, barring like the weird boroughs in Montgomery County, like from Philadelphia to Allentown, you're pretty much outside the racism belt. After that, you're just whoa boy. You're not in the heart of racism, which is Reading, PA. Reading, PA is famous for having the documentary Hate by Neighbor be the very first. Like that was where they shot the first episode.
Yeah. Where
Yeah.
the opening couple of shots just shows Nazi flags just flying at people's houses.
The guy in the first episode, the house they go to, that guy, he lives in Reading. You can Google his house. He is a famous Nazi grifter in Pennsylvania. Stroudsburg.
That sounds
Yeah.
like. Oh, hey, the time that you guys did this live and got screamed at by rednecks, where was the physical location where you played live?
Indiana. We just played in my local theater. I paid him $100.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was misremembering that. I thought that was in PA somewhere.
Oh yeah, it was.
It was.
Yeah, Indiana, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
very
Of course.
confusing.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, you get 2 freebies, Pennsylvania, you stupid fucking state. Name your towns, all this dumb shit. We're not even going to do that one either.
All right.
Indiana.
Don't even ask me about Wilkes-Barre.
Wilkes-Barre.
How many fucking barrows? God damn it.
Okay, I mean,
Well,
like,
there's
do you
a lot
want
of
to do
barrows,
this?
my friend.
What the fuck is a Winston-Salem? What the fuck?
Yeah,
Florence?
Right?
Columbia?
Ooh, we have
Spartanburg, huh?
we have
All
a
right,
county
listen.
that's just called Home.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not. No, it's a town.
Yeah.
It's not a county. It's right north of us.
PA.
That's where they shot.
Is that the same town that in the X-Files episode?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, this is
I
really
hear about it all the time.
okay. I'm sorry. I have to have a lot of fun with this one because, like, I know I have been in so many of those farmhouses as a kid, and you know what my first thought was?
Your first
Oh, I was
thought?
in there.
My first thought literally was like, wow, they have a really nice like old farmhouse. Like that's not how those look. You can't
They
walk in
kept
those
this
things.
one up.
Yeah, they did really good. Those like monster hillbillies did a really good job cleaning that son of a bitch. No, because you could walk in there, right? The shit hanger, and you could walk in there.
Walk in there.
Yeah, you could have that.
But I know exactly what you mean.
Yes, like you could walk in that house. Like I've been in so many of those because like my great grandmother lived in one of those awful messes. My grandmother was raised in one of those before she like. There's a reason her house is spotless. Like when the minute like she vacuums every day like incessantly because she remembers her house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's a like when she comes in my house and I have like clutter on the desk, she like freaks the fuck out on me because like you look at that house and I'm like, you can see table space and you can see the floor. Like that's what I noticed about that. I'm like, that's not home. That's not PA. I've been in that house. Fuck you. That's not right. Like it's just like like that's the breaks the reality of that episode for me. The people, yeah, I've met those guys too, and like they're like those guys are nicer. Like
Yeah, they played it up. They played it up for the show, obviously. Come on.
not many Nazis in PA. X-Files, Pride of the Family. That's right. Yeah, those people exist, and like they're just up the road from me.
They're generally not as bad as the show made them look. They're generally nice people.
No, you have to
Might
go.
be Might be because I'm white passing. What do I know?
You have to go out
Yeah.
there. You have to get yourself out to Alberta. That's where you get the fucking home people.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Because really, like,
No.
if you were to look on it at the map, like, it was a weird. Like, there's a reason they didn't actually do their research. Because once you get to, like, from Reading, like, if you go to Alberta, if you go to fucking Elmora, if you go to you go to fucking Dean, like, you'll get the actual people from home. Like, that's where, like, all of our serial killers live. Home is between two essentially small college towns, and Punksy's more racist than Indiana, but the point of it is they're between two, like, 10,000 plus people towns. Like, it's not that bad. That's where rich people go to live.
That's true.
Yeah, rich people go out there because they can get large swaths of property for $1, like it's fucking 1840. Brush Valley's the same way. Brush Valley really isn't all that bad comparatively, and it's like the same fucking thing.
You hit a couple of good ones down here, but you didn't hit my favorite. My favorite down here is as you go towards the beach. There's a town called Round O. I always love
Oh, we got it. Is that like Ecstasy, PA?
ecstasy.
We have hell too.
Yes,
Oh,
we do.
yeah.
And Blue Ball.
Yeah. Hell, blue ball,
Blue Ball.
blue ball.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's
Not
not too
sweat.
far from intercourse, I think.
Nope. We have
Intercourse. Yep.
We are the horniest
Well,
fucking.
it's apparently
Quakers were horny.
it's just barely too far from intercourse. Apparently, I mean, obviously it's not close enough to intercourse.
Nineveh, which I think is supposed to be heaven, but they fucked up the name because we're fucking idiots.
Oh, right. Nineveh is like a biblical. Oh man, okay.
Yeah.
So they almost succeeded at a biblical reference, but then they fucked it up.
Yeah, we fucked it all up. Oh yeah.
Is New Egypt in Lebanon?
Lebanon.
There's a lot of biblical place names. They love those.
Quakers.
Yo,
It's all
Egypt
Quakers.
for real. I thought Round O, South Carolina, was a dumb name for a town, but this shit is fucking stupid, y'all. Like, how many dumbass town names
Hey,
do you have?
There's
hey,
a lot.
this is
Hey.
our dumb fucking shit. You can't talk to us like that. Mundy's Corner. Do you want to go to
Oh,
Mundy's
you can,
Corner?
you
It's
can
a
go to
street.
Mars.
Yeah,
Mars, PA.
Mundy's Corner rocks because it's a street off of off of 22.
Why is it?
But it's a
Mondays?
big enough bump in the road that it qualifies as its own town.
Yeah, we put it on the goddamn map with not too much zooming. There's Culver and then there's Revlock, which is Culver backwards.
What?
Yeah.
Dude? All right, now I'm pissed off. Like, what? Are they? They're gonna hog up all the dumbest town names in the country and just ram them into one state. I
Yeah.
want some of these fun, dumb names to drive through down here too.
Dies
Y'all
on
hog them all up.
Well, you just
Hog
have
them
to
up.
drive further to find them.
Yeah, dude. I told you
Yeah.
to come up here. We'll do another live show. Come up here.
Like, if we do a live show, we should do it in our nation's capital. We should all converge on Washington D.C. and do
Oh,
a live
yeah.
Do
show
a decent trip.
a bunch of sad lanyards that are like pages and like congressional assistants and shit. We should do it for them.
Yeah, and we should definitely advertise it as if you love Pod Save America, you'll love this.
Yeah.
And then just, we just have an NDA and it has no refunds in it. And they're like, what is
Yes.
going to happen here?
If you love Pod Save America, you won't believe how incredibly centrist and you won't believe how far we don't go.
Now,
If you thought Pod Save America didn't say shit about shit, you won't believe how far we don't go.
oh my God. Okay, I didn't know about these two. There's three. Oh my God, there's three winners right there up by, where is this at? Oh, this is up. This is getting up north towards New York, but there's Nauvoo, Nauvoo.
Oh,
What
that
the
must
fuck?
have been fucking Mormons, right?
Yeah, I was about to say
Probably.
that's kind of like some shit Mormons built on their way out west.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when they got run out of New York,
Yeah. There's
and then everybody else is like, "We don't want your asses here either."
just
Like, keep going.
but there is just a treasure trove. There's Sebring, like the car. Arnott. Arnott, PA.
You can go to old Elk County, PA.
Yeah, Elk
Now
County.
listen,
Or
Bloss-
not.
What about Blossburg? Didn't that sound like a place to get fucked in Blossburg?
Listen here, you motherfuckers. Listen here. This here little
Leolin?
town, this intersection, this store, all this shit, all this is now part of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. You ain't got a choice now. We are incorporating you. You are now part of Pennsylvania. We are not. All right. That's the name of your fucking town.
Yeah. Never.
Some guy said, we are not.
Yeah, we are not. Well, fuck you. You
But
are.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
incorporating this shit. What are you going to call it? We are not. Okay, fine. I'm writing it on a piece of paper.
Genesee, PA is 2 roads. They literally just changed the name from fucking Commercial Street to Academy Street. And they're like, we're a town now. We've got 2 roads. It's a straight fucking line, but we got 2 roads. Fuck you.
A lot of that shit is scams, isn't it? Like, if you drive around and you see these small towns and you wonder, like, why is this incorporated? And then you see a bunch of stuff that isn't incorporated. This all has to do with scams, right?
Yeah, more or less.
I think it's a combination of that and the age of the state,
Yeah.
right? Because, like, in the early, in the mid to late 1700s, they had a lot of people that were sort of spreading out, and people were more lax about incorporation. So, they just kind of like, okay, we can. Yeah, sure. You're Culver and you're Revlock over there down the road. That's fine. Good enough.
Yeah.
And they're not going to let that shit fly in the mid to late 1800s. That's never going to fucking work. So whenever California comes around, they don't get to have stupid fucking names because those are already all taken up by PA. Can't have stupid fucking names.
They're fucking
And
ours.
that gas station and that post office over there, that's I can't remember what that's called, but it's definitely incorporated. We are not. Yeah, right. It's called R not. Yeah, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. You figured it out.
Cherville in North Carolina. Same in North Carolina. Lincoln. Yeah. Okay, but South Carolina's called Sharon. And people, we have a Sharon, PA too.
We
But
do.
we don't call it Sharon. Yeah, we have a Sharon, PA. But we don't call it Sharon. Yeah, dude. Sharon is Sharon's on the border with Ohio. You have to go up to
Yeah.
Mercer first.
Roundo is probably my favorite in South Carolina, but there's also
Roundo's
one called 96,
We have
which
Fredonia.
all the kids that are born in 96 think they're hot shit because by the time they're 12, 13, they've figured out independently to call it 69.
Yes. Chat badass living up in the Poconos. But yeah, we also have Fredonia. So there's
Fredonia?
Fredonia. Fredonia.
Fredonia.
Fredonia.
Damn, they were
Oh,
so
I always
close.
thought it was Fredonia.
Nope, Fredonia. Next to Shenango. Up there by Mercer. Which is also funny because literally right before you hit the Ohio border, you can go to Atlantic, PA, which is like the exact opposite of what you would be doing going that direction. Just want to point that out. It's not even like
This is the irony town.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely the fucking irony town. Like you're still closer to you're closer to Lake Erie, but Lake Erie was already taken. They were like, well, fuck you, at least to the Atlantic eventually. It also has no major waterway going through it. So it's aspirations.
Is it the farthest west point of the East Coast?
No. That would
They could say that though. That would look good on the sign that you pass as you drive into that place. That would
now
look
leaving the East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No more big city East Coast liberals ruining your shit. Conneautville. I think there's 2 Conneauts too, which is fucking weird. Renfrew, that's a stupid name. That was a stupid person's name and it's a stupid name. Yeah, I think there's 2 Conneauts. I might be I'm confusing Connellsville with Conneaut. Dunbar, there's a great name. There's a Lovecraftian name, Dunbar.
That sounds pretty creepy.
Yeah, there's a lot of creepy shit there. There's
Centralia. Now
Oh.
there's a Pennsylvania town with some character.
Lamont
Oh,
Furman.
that's got some character, all right.
Yeah, it
It's
does.
on fire
Yes. Ohio
forever.
Ohio Pile.
What?
Yep.
Oh yeah, Ohio Pile.
Yeah, just south of us.
What?
It's really
Now
pretty,
you're
actually.
just making shit up.
It's near
No?
Falling Waters.
Mm.
It is near Falling Waters.
Yeah.
Why is it called falling? What the fuck?
Frank Lloyd Wright's famous house. The only,
Yeah,
yeah.
look it up, man. Honest to God, look up Falling Waters. It's super gorgeous.
Is
I've
there
gone a couple of
is there a
times.
waterfall there?
Yeah. Look at the
It's
house.
designed into the property.
Seriously, just type
No.
into Google
I
Falling
mean,
Waters.
in the town of Falling Waters, do you suppose
No,
there's a waterfall?
Falling
He
Waters
built.
is a house.
It's a house
Falling Waters is a house.
that's built on a
Oh,
micro waterfall.
gotcha.
Yeah, Falling Water is built
Google
on a
it.
micro waterfall. Frank Lloyd Wright built a house for rich people. It's pretty, but fuck them.
That's like the other week when we were talking about the fucking the hippo farms down here. Lee was Googling that shit and he found out that Frank Lloyd Wright built the hippo plantation that was owned by shit. I can't remember now. If Lee's still in the chat, he probably type it in the chat,
Lancaster.
but it was an incredibly weird rich person to own a hippo plantation that was built by Frank Lloyd Wright in South Carolina. It was just weird.
By the way,
we were very
Oh, I'm sorry, I was responding to Lee. You go first.
No. I'm just saying it was really weird. Like, maybe Lee remembers if he's still kicking it in the chat.
He is.
Whose house it was, but it was very strange when it turned out who
Frank
it
Lloyd Wright
was.
made it. Yeah. No, he's saying Lancaster is how you guys say Lancaster, but we call it Lancaster or Lancaster.
Lancaster.
Yeah. We definitely
Yeah,
get that
Lancaster.
sound. Exactly. Yeah. We call it that over here too, by the way. We say the exact same thing. Pennsylvania is not the state people think it is. Like everybody thinks it's like Pittsburgh, or everybody thinks it's Philly versus the Yokels, and it's really
Mhm.
like Philadelphia plus Pittsburgh minus their football rivalry, which is like lame as shit. But it's really
Everybody
and the
gets
people who
way too excited about sports.
yeah, it's what this state has. We have the Stillers and the Eagles.
Eagles.
Eagles. Yeah. Sorry. Also, people think that
Yeah, I'm on the wrong side.
IEGLES. Eagles.
People also think that we have a different accent depending on what side of the state you're on, and unless you're actually in Philadelphia, the city, no, you fucking don't.
Well, I
No.
grew up saying Wooder, and I will continue to say it until God finally strikes me dead.
Yeah. No.
I bet if you say a slightly different, okay, say Falling Waters again.
Well, that's different. That's a title.
Yeah, that's a title.
That's so
Dude.
cool. That's
Falling
so cool
Waters.
that they're bringing it like that.
Yeah, we say a lot of our T's are D's here because most people have a stutter.
That's so fun.
Yeah, dude, Waters.
Mm.
You know how you have an extra vowel when you say y'all?
I
Well,
like several.
Yeah, you have like 9 extra vowels when you say y'all. Well, we have T's or D's. T's are pronounced as D's. That's our thing. Go to Warsh. We add R's too.
I'm not from that part.
No. Yeah, you're getting it though.
I don't
tell.
keller with my crowns either.
You don't Keller?
I don't keller.
You don't wash your clothes? Most of that accent has gone away.
If they could make a washing machine fly, my grandson could land.
Whoa. Washing machine.
Mm.
Yeah, you missed it. You got too much of an A in there. That's how I know you're from the South. A's and A's. Up here, we use the refined O. California, Coalinga. Yeah.
Mm.
That's right, Coalinga.
Mm.
I've heard of that one, actually. Coaling Station A, Coalinga, out in California.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. No, but anyway, so personhood. Yeah, I don't know. This is the kind of shit, like, I've been mulling this shit over, and, like, the hard part is kind of how circular the logic can get, right? If you define personhood as purely on the social relations to other people, like you haven't
Right.
actually, all you've done is sidestep the question, you haven't answered it, which is like problematic.
Every time we've ever tried to talk about it, as soon as we get to a motherfucker in a coma, we're already in a fucking ditch. Bad, you know?
Yeah, well, like I mean, that's how we literally like. That's why Jenk just ripped the Band-Aid tonight, and he was just like, "Fuck it, comas. Are they
Yep,
people?"
Well,
yep.
no, he said catatonic, which is a little different.
Well, I said catatonic.
We know what I meant.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
No, it's not.
I know, but the point.
Because I know people who have come back from catatonia.
Yeah, but you can come back
I
from
don't
being
know that many
comatose.
people that come back from comas.
No, nobody said it was easy. I mean, it's not fair.
If you're in a persistent vegetative state, you ain't coming back from shit.
No, but
Not even that Terry Schiavo, like, kind of half alive shit. That she wasn't a person.
that's you know what though. I'll say this. Like this will sound really weird. Like I'm not for the liberals. How do I put it? I'm not opposed to medically assisted suicide. I am opposed to the liberals' conception of what should constitute medically assisted suicide. Canada is showing us what they mean, and it is fucking horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not the people that I want to be in charge of deciding.
Yes, that is the best way to put it. I'm okay with the concept. I am not okay with them being involved at all. They are not allowed to be anywhere near it. And frankly, neither are the conservatives, because that sounds like there was a video of a kid. He had somebody, they had to have him smuggle in a cell phone to a Canadian hospital. He took this video of the nurse being like, "Well, you should just sign the maids for him." And the kid's like, "I don't want to die though. I will happily live like this." And he's like, "Yeah, but it's a shitty quality of life. You should really just sign the maids for him." And the kid's like, "But I'm not going to do that." And he's like, "But you should. You have a moral. You,
Right.
it would be more moral for you to sign the AIDS form, so we don't have to pay for you to be like this." And I was like, "Yep, that guy should sign the maids form and then go do it." Like,
there's really nobody that you could trust except if a person believes that healthcare should just be, universally provided, and we're not going to count how much money the machine that goes ping costs at the hospital or whatever. Like, that's really the only kind of person you could trust to make that decision. Is
yeah,
somebody that doesn't think that thinks it's just part of infrastructure and it doesn't cost anything. That's the only point at which you can trust somebody to make a reasonable decision.
yeah, I kind of agree on that. The thing about, well, that's a trap of that phrase, cost effective, right? Because cost effective is a limitation of the capitalist, but not to non-capitalists, right? Like ants don't
Right.
have a conception of a cost limitation. Look at what ants do. Look at what cephalopods do, and they don't have a concept of a cost limitation.
No,
Cost
no.
limitation is just literally like we would have to pay more than we want to pay to have the thing done, and we can't turn a profit on it. So nope, we can't do it, which is like that's a shitty barrier. Because I'll tell you what, like there is nothing life-saving that is cost effective, right? Because you have to invest far more resources than nature's natural course of dying, which is
Yes.
cost avoid, right? The body just wants to die. So any cost-saving measure, any cost-saving measure is ridiculous in notion. You can more efficiently save lives by reducing costs, but ultimately, like you're going to have to invest more resources than it would take to die, and that's kind of like it's terrifying that is the metric we allow to dictate those kind of things. Like, because you can just eliminate cost and look at you can just look at pure labor investment, for example, and suddenly the costs go down, right?
Well, that's a new thing. I like this angle because I've been composing for an unrelated side project.
Yeah.
I've been composing a list of reasons that a person might want to consider to not die, and spiting capitalists is definitely going on that list.
Oh, hell
Like,
yeah.
there's nothing that they would hate more than for you to continue to live.
Yeah.
I never really thought about it like that.
Well, if you look at their rhetoric on the elderly too, their rhetoric on the elderly is fucking monstrous, because it's always basically like, Rahm Emanuel's brother loves to espouse it. Like, who really wants to live beyond 75 anyway? I don't know, me. I'll be honest. Some people don't, but
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And then they're like, what is the point of living beyond 75? Life, like it's horrifying that life is not an end unto itself to these people. Canada versus
Yeah.
U.S. death
Or
penalty,
the people are
white
like,
capital.
how dare you retire early?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not producing profit, what is the point of your life? Well, to live it,
Right.
like, to experience it.
I
Like
think it's a moral imperative to retire as quickly as you can.
yeah, the first chance you get, fucking stop working for the machine and only feed the machine through consumption. Which is weird too, because like consumption is required for capitalists to profit, and they're immediately like, "Oh man, fuck you, you got to die as soon as you get old." Which is like, but I can still consume. Like, what the fuck?
This is a good example of what Dan, what we were talking about the other night when we were giving ourselves insomnia. That one way to perceive capitalism is that they do a scam to you. It's people that do scams,
Yes.
and then if you complain that they're doing a scam to you, then you're in trouble. They yell at you. But
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's scams all the way up, all the way down. And if you just get scammed and you don't cry too hard, then you're a good citizen. But if you complain about being scammed, you're in trouble.
Yes. Yeah. We were talking about that the other night. Yeah, that's right. That's the exact fucking formation. Like, how dare you call me out on the fact I'm scamming you?
Yeah.
They're not even like embarrassed about the fact it's a scam. They're just more embarrassed that you fucking had the balls to say something. And they're like,
Yeah.
that's the indignancy point, right? Like that's
Yes. That is the
How
person who is
dare
punished.
you point that out?
how dare yeah. They do hate material for people who are so entrenched in extracting value from material reality. They really do hate it.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
really fucking despise material reality. I don't know. Like I don't know what to tell them. Like it's got to be hard to live like that. There's a reason they need so many pills.
That's the strongest argument not to do it, is that they all seem super miserable. Occasionally I see one that seems kind of happy, like sometimes, but even that could be fake. I don't like
Yeah.
Richard Branson. You always see Richard Branson. He's always
I was thinking of him.
smirking.
He's the happiest fucking
He's the
rich
happiest one I
dude.
can think of. Allegedly, he's very happy. He's always putting on a big show of how happy and windsurfing he is.
But you know what
Yeah.
else convinces me that he might actually be happy?
What's
You
that?
really don't hear about him very much.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I bet the Mercers are fucking happy. Robert Mercer or his fucking
No.
weirdo child. I bet they're happy. They stay out of the press too.
No. I'm gonna say Richard Branson. Yes. Them. No. Because when you do see the Mercers, there's they're always fucking monstrous. They're always monstrous and they're always hating something and they always have some new fucking ghoul to send out as their proxy. Right? Whereas
Right.
Richard Branson's just like, yeah, I was just windsurfing. I'm fucking great. Oh, I'm gonna go fucking fly around in space and dick
Yeah.
around for a while. Like he
Like they're
actually
still plotting behind the scenes. Those bitches
Yeah.
didn't retire.
Right.
They just moved into the shadow.
Right, yeah, like a
McCaffrey-
lich. Like a lich. They retracted from sunlight. Peter Thiel's one of those guys too. Peter Thiel is the unhappiest gay man there ever could be.
Oh God,
Yeah.
yes.
I don't think that's that revolutionary, and I know that just engendered me $1 billion lawsuit, but I'm already in, right?
If Peter Thiel was the first person who was ever caught being homosexual, the word gay wouldn't exist. Instead, we would call gay people miserable. We'd be like, I don't know. He seems like kind of a Mary, He seems kind of, miserable.
Yeah, he's a mizzy. That's what we would be calling that. It wouldn't be gay. It would be a mizzy.
It would be a synonym for happiness.
Yes, it would not be a synonym for happiness. It would be a synonym for fucking misery. All right, and with that, I think we're good. I think we've had a good evening. I appreciate everybody. Chat, wonderful tonight. Love you all. I was joined by Jake Engels.
That's me.
I was joined by Juniper Nest.
It's me.
And this week, last but never least, the True Horror.
Hell yeah! What's up? Good night. Fuck yeah.
I'm Dan Cohen. I'm the gayest with my dad, and I love you all. Don't die.